Sorry. Hello,
Hello,
man.
how's it
Hello.
going?
It's
How are
going
you?
good. How are you doing?
I'm in work.
Oh, are you working?
On my lunch break.
Are you on a lunch break? Oh.
Rockstar.
Well, thanks for taking the time in your lunch to do this interview. Much
No problem at all.
appreciated.
No problem at all.
Right.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So, if you'd like to introduce yourself to people, who you are and what band you're in.
So, everybody, I'm Dan and I'm from Dead Label. I play bass and I do vocals.
Sweet. Okay, let's do it. First question. What made you pick up bass and vocals, like taking up music?
Um, Funny question. I had no real interest in playing music or being in a band when I was a kid. I actually wanted to be a music scientist, believe it or not, when I was like 10 or 11. But then I was in primary school and a friend of mine said, "Hey, you want to be in a band?" And I said, "Yeah, but I don't play any instruments." And he was like, "Okay, play bass. That's easy." And I went, "Okay." And that started it. Then
Sounds
it was a
good.
slippery slope from there. Started listening to Tin Lizzy, Metallica, and then eventually you find yourself listening to Behemoth and Die Artist Murder and all these other bands. And
Yeah, slowly ease yourself into the heavier side of things.
exactly.
Right, so what was your first experience on stage?
My first experience on stage was actually with that same guy who asked me to be in a band with him when we were in school. He had a music exam and he needed a bass player and a vocalist to play with him. He was being uh, basically being graded on his guitar playing, so but he just needed a band to fill out the sound. So he asked me to do vocals and play bass, and we did "Jailbreak" by Thin Lizzy, and we did "Voodoo Child" by Jimi Hendrix. It was absolutely class. that
That's
was my
awesome,
first time
man.
that was my first time kind of being like having an audience and playing with a band on stage. It wasn't really a real band, but that was my first real experience with it.
Did uh did anyone like the stuff you were playing? Because was there a big audience or anything?
No. It was like there was a few people from his music class, and then there was the examiner who was basically just marking his guitar playing. But people seemed to enjoy it. It's hard not to enjoy
Yeah, so it was
Jimi
like a
Hendrix.
small classroom basically.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And then
Yeah. Yeah, still a start.
yeah.
Um, what do you do to pass the time before a gig?
What do I do to pass the time? Most of the time, I get stressed. If my wife is ever at a gig, she always asks me. She always just stays away. Actually, she doesn't even. She just sees this glazed look over my face and just like, okay, he'll be fine after the gig. She kind of just leaves me to it. That's why she doesn't come to shows really anymore. but before shows, it's kind of just getting ready. Vocal warm ups mainly. Bit of. I don't usually warm up on bass. Um, I don't know why. I probably should, but I spend more time on the vocals because I don't want to blow my voice out. And basically just chatting to the guys in other bands and just basically just trying to chill out before we get up there and then do our thing.
Sounds good. How did you work on your vocal technique? Because you have a very like a gritty sort of lowish scream.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to know how you practiced that and how you got that tone.
Oh, I don't really know how, because when I first started screaming, it was mainly because I couldn't sing. And when I was first got into a metal band with Danny and Claire, I actually wasn't the vocalist at the time. We had another vocalist, but that band kind of fell through. And then Danny and Claire were both like, "Well, you were doing backing vocals. Why don't we just start a new band and you do main vocals?" And I was like, "All right." Don't really know what I'm doing, but I kind of just listening to all the bands that I was listening to and trying to emulate what their singers were doing. And then I've found over time that even like if you listen back to like our first album, Sense of Slaughter, the screams are kind of, they're more in the higher to mid range, like mid to high range. And then after that album, we did a track called "Are You Ready to Kill," and that high scream just didn't really kind of suit that song. So I tried to go a little bit lower and a little bit more guttural, and I found that that was more comfortable. I kind of felt like I was really straining myself in the higher register. So I kind of just worked on the lower stuff. I still do the higher stuff, but I kind of more do that kind of as a more of a variation rather than my main tone. But it was mainly a comfortable thing, a comfort thing that I went lower. I found I have a bit of a deeper voice anyway when I'm talking, so it just kind of made more sense just to kind of stay low when I was screaming. That's basically it.
Yeah, 'cause obviously, yeah, that does seem comfortable for you. And yeah,
Yeah,
I saw that you did do a 2020 mix of the song "Are You Ready to Kill."
yeah,
Well, what was the reason for that? Because obviously, I don't think the song has been out for that long. Because normally bands do a reissue when the song's been out for at least like quite a long time. But what made you do
yeah.
it like now?
The main reason we did that was because there was a little bit of confusion with an older label that we were on. There was a mix of that song that that label had done, and now that we're independent, it was just easier just to get the song remixed and remastered and put it out under our own distribution than anything to do with the old label. So that's the main reason that we did it, just because the fact that we're now independent artists.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Would you would you ever sign to another label? Or would you just stay independent?
Well, I like at the moment we're happy enough just to kind of doing our own thing, but it all depends on if the right offer comes in, then obviously we will sign. But at the moment we're happy just working away on our own, and especially now during the lockdown and all the gigs being cancelled and all that, we're just happy out just writing and recording our own music and not having to answer to any higher powers really.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, what was the first bass you bought or was gifted to? One or the
Oh,
other?
the very first bass I got was I don't even know the make of it, but it was a 3/4 size. It was about the size of a Fender Stratocaster, and it was a bass. It was only a 3/4 size, yeah. And I learned how to
Yeah,
play
so
that.
it had a
That was the very first bass I got. My parents got me that, I think, when I was probably maybe 12 or 13, and I played that thing to death. I remember I brought it in to get restrung because I didn't know how to restring a bass at the time. And the guy who did it in the music shop wasn't able to do it because the neck was so warped on it. So it just had to be thrown out. And then the next bass I got after that was an Ibanez. It was an Ibanez GSR 200 or something like that, GSR 300. 4-string anyway, but it was black. It was really, really cool. I remember seeing it in a magazine, and I was like, that's the bass that I want. So I saved up as much money as I possibly could. My parents helped me out, and I went and got that. But then when I started actually playing in a metal band, I just really liked the idea of going to a 5-string. I just really wanted that lower string just to get really, really low. So I went and I bought a what did I buy? I can't remember. Was it the? I think maybe it was the Spectre. The very first Spectre that I bought was a Spectre Performer 5, and I bought that, and it was a passive. It was a passive guitar, and I played that, and I still play that guitar even now. But I remember when we went to record Sense of Slaughter, I really liked the idea of having active pickups rather than passive. I just thought they kind of cut through a bit more. So I bought an Ibanez, another Ibanez. It was a white 5-string. I think I played it in the video, and I recorded the whole album on that, and really, really enjoyed that guitar, and it plays great. And even to this day, I do play it on demos and stuff like that. But played with Machine Head in 2012, and then we got some really, really cool photos of that show with the Spectre bass that I was playing at the time. And I was just like, when I got the photos back, I was like, I'm going to be really, really cheeky, and I'm going to send this on to Spectre and be like, hey, your guitars are great. I play them live, and I've just played them with Machine Head. Can I have an endorsement? And a couple of weeks later, I got an email back saying, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, you can have an endorsement. So I've been with Spectre ever since.
That's nice, that.
Yeah.
So
I now play a Spectre Legend 5 that I've recently just, with myself and Nick in the band, we both play Fishman pickups. So I've recently just swapped out the old EMG pickups on that bass for the Fishmans, and it's like a brand new guitar. And I also have a new guitar ordered. It's the signature model from the bass player from Cannibal Corpse, Alex Webster. He plays Spectre as well, and I've ordered his signature model now as well, so which I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on that.
that's pretty great.
Yeah.
What? So it sounds like you've got quite a few basses. Which is your favorite one out of all the basses that you own?
The favorite bass that I have now at the moment is the one that I currently play. It's a red Spectre Legend 5, and it's actually quite a heavy guitar to hold, but it takes a beating. You know, I play it everywhere. I brought it all over the world with me. It's like a road dog. You can just absolutely abuse the thing, and it never lets me down. So that's my main guitar. So that's when I felt really bad for that guitar for years, because I never really treated it well. I maybe restrung it every 3 or 4 months and gave it a bit of a clean. So since I put the new Fishmans in it and put a new set of strings on it and got the truss rod done and everything, I've been looking after it now, all right. But no, that guitar can just withstand anything: sweat, blood, beer, water, anything. No, it doesn't put a foot out of line.
Yeah. So you seems that you've got some powerful gear. So that's pretty reliable for shows, because obviously when you're at shows, your gear just gets knocked about when getting on stage or when other people are parting it, and even while you're performing, it might get scratched because of how energetic a band might play. So obviously having gear that's really reliable and it's really strong is good for yourself.
Yeah, just a little bit of reliability there. You know, you don't have to worry about stuff going too wrong. And even for my gear, my live setup even is so simple. Like there's nothing complicated to mine. It's basically bass into a wireless, into a distortion pedal, into the amp. That's it. That's all I do. So there's very little with my rig that can go wrong, which is great. Where compared to the other guys, they're both now using these Line 6 Helix things, and there's like a lot of like buttons and a lot of digital shit going on. So that's just like, no, you guys just stick to that. I'll stick to my little analog distortion pedal, and we'll be fine.
Okay, so Download next year. How does it feel playing? How does it feel playing that festival? Because that's like the biggest festival in the UK and frankly in the world. So that must feel brilliant for you playing that festival.
Oh, like the last time we played, it was absolutely amazing. I think we opened the stage that we were playing at like 11 o'clock in the morning. We weren't expecting anybody to show up, and the tent was packed. We had such a good show. The only thing that kind of went against us is I wasn't allowed in sight like circle pits or anything like that, but it's kind of like cutting me off the knees. It's all to do with crowd safety, and you're perfectly entitled to keep the people safe. But I like to get the crowd involved, and we were just told like 2 seconds before we were going on stage that we weren't really allowed to do that. So for being our first time at Download, and we didn't want to piss anybody off or step on anybody's shoes, so it was like, okay, no, definitely I will not do that. no problem whatsoever. But other than that, it's a fantastic festival. It's like you're walking around backstage and you're looking at, you know, Max Cavalera and the Suicide Silence guys and Devin Townsend and all these like people that I've grown up with their music and like, who are huge inspirations and huge idols of mine. And they're just there, 2 feet in front of you, and you can go up and you can talk to them, and they're so nice, you know. And there's no problem just going up and chatting to them. It's just like it's such a surreal moment because you do. We've played a lot of big festivals and stuff like that, but I've never seen all those big names in one spot before, you know, which was amazing. It just completely blew my mind. And then getting to see Rob Zombie play that night as well was absolutely amazing. So I'm a huge Rob Zombie fan.
I've seen many footage backstage of what other people film, and I watch it on YouTube because a lot of people post it on there. And it, even as you said there, it looks so surreal just watching. Even like headliners just walking past you, and you can go talk to the headliner if you're able to, because I don't know if some headliners just sit in their dressing room getting ready, because I know Slipknot has a lot of gear, so I was thinking about like Slipknot would just be in their dressing room all day just getting prepared, but sometimes they might have time just walking about. But again, it just seems massive, especially for a band as your size.
Oh
it's
yeah,
just...
we are so small in comparison. Like we were opening the smallest stage at 11 o'clock in the morning, and like there's Max Cavalera walking around backstage, you know, and you're just like, oh my God, he is one of the godfathers of metal, you know. And he was, I think he was there with the Cavalier Conspiracy guys, and they were doing the Roots album from start to finish. And back in 2015, we had toured with Fear Factory, and Tony Campos was playing bass for Cavalier Conspiracy at Download. We saw Tony and we were like, oh, Tony, how's it going? And we were chatting to him, and Max just happened to be walking by, and Tony stopped and was like, hey, Max, these are my friends from Ireland. We toured together a couple of years ago. And Max just stopped and go, this is a friend of mine, and just walked off. We were like, that was the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, honestly, that just sounds brilliant. What's the best show you've ever played? With all the shows you've played, like, what's the best one?
There's been a lot. There's the very first time we played Dublin with Machine Head is a highlight. But I think it would have to be last year at Brixton Academy with Gojira. I think that has to be my all-time favorite show that we've ever played, because I've always wanted to play Brixton Academy, and getting to do that plus support one of the best metal bands on the planet was a completely surreal moment, and not one that I will ever forget. And walking out and just seeing that legendary venue packed to the rafters with people screaming their heads off was just absolutely amazing. And I think I played that whole gig with a smile on my face. I think it was just absolutely amazing.
So I saw you got the call like really short notice to the gig.
Oh, it was.
So
I think we had 24 hours notice from the phone call to actually having to get to London. I think the show was on the Sunday. I think we got a call on the Saturday afternoon. So we got the call. It was like, yeah, okay, go. Our van had broken down, so we had gotten rid of it. So we had to rent a van, load all our gear in the van, get a ferry overnight, drive from Holyhead to London, unload, play a show, and load all the gear back in and head for Manchester then the next night. It was just a whirlwind of a weekend. It was absolutely amazing.
Good. Yeah, that must have been hectic, just going through all the travel. Yeah.
Hectic, but I do it in the morning.
That would have been worth it to play with Gojira as well. It's just that's definitely worth the travel.
Yeah.
What's your favorite song to play live?
My favorite song to play live of ours at the moment. Um, Good question, actually. I really enjoy playing Pure Chaos. I really enjoy playing that song because it's very easy. I don't have to think. I can just switch off my brain and enjoy the crowd's reaction to actually playing that song. So that's what I like about it.
Yeah, yeah, that riff is just it's a riff that just pumps people up
Yeah.
because yeah, I've heard the track so many times and that it's just it's one of them things that just it's like holy shit we got to jump.
Yeah, I just love that. And I just love getting people just involved and just getting people just getting to jump off their feet. And now like we did that with that wall of chaos thing at Bloodstock, and then now it's just become this thing that happens in the set. We don't even have to start it anymore. People just the second the band drops out and Danny just goes to that riff on his own halfway through the song, the crowd just knows it's just a part now at this stage, which is great. It's just that was meant to be a one-time thing and now has just completely taken on a life of its own, which is amazing. It's great.
It's a band's tradition.
Yeah, it's just a band tradition now at this stage. Yeah, it's great.
Is there is there any news on some new music from you guys? Because I've seen some posts of you tracking some stuff.
Yeah, we have now started recording the new album, which is a long time coming. So we are absolutely delighted about that. We had about 20 odd songs, and we've whittled them down to 10. And they're the 10 that are going to be on the album. So now we just have to get tracking and finally get it out for people. But we also have a little treat coming up for everybody that will hopefully be out. We were hoping before the end of the summer, but it'll probably be October now by this stage, just with everything that's been going on and delays and stuff. But we'll definitely have some new music dropping before the album drops as well. So we've a couple of things coming up just to keep people's eyes out, but I can't really talk too much about that in a minute.
It's all right. Last question. What advice would you give to smaller musicians that have picked up an instrument or have just started a band that want to get out there and make a career for themselves?
Just do it. Just do it. Don't let anything. Just do it. Don't let anything stop it. If it's something that you really, really want to do, and it's something that you are really, really passionate about, then do it. There's nothing stopping you. Just go out there and do it. If it's not happening for you here, go get it. We started on the Irish metal scene. Actually, we didn't even start on the Irish metal scene. When we started playing, we were playing with indie bands. No metal bands would play with us. There wasn't really any metal gigs. So we just went and we took gigs wherever we could get them. It didn't matter. We played a gig in some tiny little town, in a little town hall, to 3 or 4 kids, when we first started. And eventually it just got to the stage where we were like, you know what, we're going to go abroad and play. So we just went and we played abroad, and there was nothing stopping us. And it just grows and grows and grows from there. And if you're truly passionate about it, just go and do it. There's nothing stopping you. Well, the only thing stopping you right now is the coronavirus, but
Yeah.
Eventually all that will go away, and eventually tours will start picking up again. And once that happens, get out there and do it. That's my
piece of it. Some straightforward, wise words. I like that. So, thank you for doing this interview with me. It's been really good.
Yeah, no problem at all, man. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
I hope to see you on tour some point soon when we're allowed to go out and do this again.
Yeah, definitely. As soon as we're allowed, we'll be everywhere.
Yeah. So yeah, sounds good. Yeah, but thank you so much. If you'd want to introduce yourself again to people that maybe have missed a start or something.
Oh yeah, no problem. My name is Dan. I do bass and vocals in a band called Dead Label, and we have new music dropping very soon. So just keep an eye on all the social media.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right.
Cheers, man. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
No, no problem.
All right. Talk to you later.
Catch you later.
Bye bye.